camping spots that I like to come to. And if you hear cows in the background, well, that's because there's cows over there somewhere. I don't see any, but I can hear them. Anyway, I'm doing this video about my solar system because some of you have been asking me about it. And you're probably like I was about a year or so ago, or maybe even longer now, researching it and seeing what other YouTubers and other people have done for their solar. So I thought I'd give you a little bit of a video, but disclaimer. Okay, I'm a novice. I'm not like Will Prowse or somebody like that that knows a lot about solar. I just am a person that read a lot of books about it and read magazine articles and watched YouTube videos and all that kind of stuff, just like the rest of you guys. This is how I did my solar system. I'm not suggesting anybody else do it this way. So far it's proven to be safe and effective. It charges my battery just fine. I have enough electricity for what I need to do for right now, so I'm thinking that it was a success. I'm also considering whether or not I should build another one, just because, you know, hey, it was kind of fun. So yeah, so I'll show you guys my panels first, and then I will go inside and attempt to show you the rest. So I hope you guys like it. All right. Okay, let's see if I can get you guys up here. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully I got that. Okay guys, so that was up on the roof. As you could probably see, was 2 solar panels. If I can find the better picture of them, I'll insert it someplace in the video, but if not, that's probably the best I could do. I don't have a drone or a ladder or anything to show you, but it is 2 170 watt panels that are, you know, connected together. And so I think that makes what, almost 400 watts of solar. So it's like, I don't know, 300 and, I don't know, I'm bad at math, but anyway, yeah, that's a pretty substantial amount of solar for this little van. And as you might have noticed, they take up the whole entire roof. Excuse the car noise. They take up the whole entire roof. I have no room for a vent. They are flexible, and I put them up there with Eternabond tape and some pipe insulation underneath to brace them, because the roof, how it was shaped on the van, wasn't supporting the edges of the panels, and I also thought that if the wind could get up underneath it, it would create like a sail and rip them off the van. So I propped them up with these things to basically keep the airflow from going underneath, and then taped it all down. And so far it has not even budged, and it's worked great. The only problem would be is if you wanted to remove them to replace them if they broke or whatever, or just because you don't like how it's set up, then you're gonna have to deal with the Eternabond tape. But when they say it's Eternabond, it really is. Yeah, it works pretty well. But I don't recommend that for everybody. It was just something that I tried because I did not want to drill a bunch of holes into my roof. It was bad enough having to drill the holes for the wiring. That made me kind of sick doing that, so I just didn't want to do it. After paying $4,000 for my high top, you could understand why. But then I ran the wires down. Let's see if you can see this up here. As you can see, they're up. Let's see. As you can see, I had to put them directly into the roof because I bought one of those things to cover them with called a roof gland. And because of the shape of the roof, it did not work. I wish they would make like flexible ones, because I think they would work a lot better. But the roof wasn't conducive to having this thing with a flat bottom sitting on it. And so I just, for the life of me, couldn't get it to stay on there. So what I did was I took a bunch of self-leveling lap sealant called Dicor and just shoved it in the holes. And it works. It doesn't leak or nothing. It's been up there like this whole time and it's been working perfect. So yeah, that's the outside part. So let's go do the inside part. Okay, we're back inside now. We're going to start off with my Renogy Rover charge controller. I think it's a 40 amp, if I remember right. Yeah, it says 40 amp right here. And I got the MPPT because they are supposed to help the solar panels collect as much sun more efficiently, as much sun as they can, as efficiently as they can. That's kind of hard to say. And this little screen on here tells me, you know, whether or not my battery's being charged and all that. And it has all kinds of complicated stuff that I kind of sort of understand, but I'm not going to explain to you guys because I don't want to mess something up and misinform anybody. One of the reasons why I didn't do a video on installing this was because if something happened, I didn't want somebody to get hurt. So there you go. And then I don't really have a cabinet to put it in. It's just kind of mounted on my wall. And what I do is I just kind of put some fabric kind of over it so it can breathe. And then I put my little hat, I hang my hat on it, and it looks kind of cute and I don't have to look at it. But it's got these like heat sink things on the back. And so I just didn't want it to not be able to breathe. So I just was really weird, or, you know, had a weird feeling about covering it up. And then as we move down here, it's just like any other typical solar system. It's got the unfortunately 10 gauge wires. I wish that you could fit 8 gauge in there. I think 8 gauge would be a lot better, even though my system is really small and 10 gauge are sufficient. It's just that I feel that it would be safer to have bigger wires. It's always safer to have bigger ones. There's less resistance and stuff. And resistance causes heat, and heat can cause fires. So I just wish that Renogy would make the holes bigger so that you could put a bigger, fatter wire in there. But they don't. And then these wires that are up here, same deal. As you can see my Dicor on there. But it's the same deal. They're like 10 gauge wires that go from your solar. I don't get it. So manufacturers, please make these a little bit bigger. I'd be a little bit more comfortable. So far they haven't gotten me into any trouble though, because my system is pretty tiny. You know, it's less than 400 watts. And then I've got my little Blue Sea fuse box hooked up to it. And then a breaker, which is very important. This comes from the solar. This is the positive from the solar. So you could put a breaker or you can put a switch so that you could turn off the solar panels when you need to service it. This is very important. You need a switch to turn it off. So I have that there. And it's a big one. It's a 40 amp one as well. And then I should have another one here. Oops, there goes my light. I should have another one right here where this fuse is, but this is a 40 amp fuse in here, and what it does is it turns off my charge controller. You know, because this part it's hooked to the positive of the battery, and sometimes you just want to turn off your charge controller as well. I just didn't have the money or the time at the time, and I had already had this fuse set up, so I just used it. And this is like big, thick car stereo wire, and it's awesome stuff. It's all copper, and it's very flexible and everything, and I had it, so I used it. And then this is another switch that goes from the fuse box to the battery on the positive. It's another 40 amp breaker, and it does the same thing. It just cuts the power from the battery to the fuse box in case I need to service anything. And that's a very important thing to do, to have a switch and or a breaker right there. And it's really cool because it just, you know, pops on and off. I don't know if you can see it now, but and then you turn it back on and it comes back on. Okay, so then I have my 100 amp hour battery, and when I first set this up I had a 200 amp hour battery, But for those of you guys who had watched the videos about me trying to have refrigerators, you know what happened to that one. And the ground of the battery is it's ground to the body of the van, which is okay. It works. And then this is a 1000 watt inverter, and it's by Mighty Max Solar, and it's a very nice inverter, but I hardly ever need to use it, and I just use a power strip because it's hillbilly style and I hardly ever use it. So I didn't do any elaborate fancy, you know, plugs or anything off of it, and it's got its own fuse, which is very important. I didn't need to get one this fancy or as big, but it's fused to the battery. That's what this whole big whoop-de-doo is. This goes in between the inverter and the battery, so if something happens and it gets overloaded, this thing can pop and then save the battery and keep stuff from catching on fire. And it's really important when you fuse your inverter to make sure that it's fused as close to the battery as possible, if not on the battery. And then yeah, that way you're safer. What else? Let's see. Oh, I have an old power source right here for my 12-volt appliances, for my chargers and things, as you can see, like USBs. And it's an old cigarette lighter thing, and I got it at the thrift store, and it was a lucky find because I did not know where to get any switches for this kind of stuff, or USB hookup at the time when I was doing this solar system. Now I know a little bit more about them and I know where to get them, so I will be upgrading this thing, even though it works okay. It's just old and kind of wonky, and I would like to have some real switches and some you know, some actual real dedicated USBs instead of the cigarette lighter connector kind. They work, but it's just not ideal. I think it would probably be better to upgrade it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, my system is extremely simple. It's something that beginners can do, and I highly recommend that if you can learn and research and do your own thing, to do it. So, but yeah, it's just basically pretty easy and simple to do. Just took me a little while to figure it out. Okay guys, well, like I said, that's my hillbilly system. I don't really recommend everybody do it the same exact way I do. The principle is there, but oh yeah, and I forgot to mention too that I have a DC to DC charger hooked up to my battery most of the time. It's hooked to the positive side of the starter battery and the positive side of the house battery. But right now I have the thing unhooked so that I can experiment to see how good my system's doing, and it's doing pretty well without it because, well, this battery is not as big as the old one. So my panels have no problem charging it, especially right now when the sun is out more. But yeah, if you guys really want a good system, just build your own. You learn a lot, but if you're not confident and you feel like you can't do that, and you have the money to fork out, then just buy one of those plug and plays like a Jackery or a Blue Eddy or something like that. But I'm telling you, for the fraction of the cost, you can have your own system. Those things cost about $1,500 for the 100 amp hour ones, and I built this system originally with a 200 amp hour battery, and it cost me $800. So that's a lot better than $1,500. It's not that much savings, but if you think about it, you know, that adds up after a while. And even after buying this battery, which was $200, that's a whole $1,000 for my system. So I pretty much saved $500 for having a solar for a year. And now I have this awesome empowering skill that I could take anywhere. I mean, now that I know how to do this, I can make myself electricity in any situation. And I wouldn't trade that for the world. And that's what you'd be missing out on if you bought one of those plug and play systems. So yeah, just do your research or due diligence. Watch a bunch of videos. Get Will Prowse's book. I still haven't bought it. I really want to. I've been meaning to, and I just keep like forgetting about finding it. But I really would like his solar book so that I can learn more and do more, and maybe even do like someday do a 24-volt system. I don't think I want to go any further than that though, because well, I don't need nothing that big. So anyway, guys, I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please like and subscribe and hit the thumbs up button, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks a lot. Bye.